Every woman dreams of a perfect baby shower, pink balloons, gold decorations, friends gathered around, the man you love standing beside you, celebrating the new life you're about to bring into the world. It's supposed to be the happiest moment of your life. But what happens when that moment becomes your worst nightmare? What happens when the person you trusted most uses that perfect moment to destroy you? What happens when, in front of 200 people, in front of your mother, in front of your closest friends, your husband walks in and hands you divorce papers, and you're 8 months pregnant? This is not a movie. This is not made up. This is Sarah's true story. Sarah Okafor was born into a world most people will never understand. Her father was a trillionaire, not just a billionaire, a trillionaire, $5 trillion. His wealth was so vast, so secret, that not even her husband knew the full truth. But when her father died, she inherited everything. And when her husband found out, he decided to take it all. This is the story of the most cruel betrayal, the deepest heartbreak, and the most satisfying justice. Sarah Okafor grew up in a world of power and privilege that most people will never experience. Her father, David Okafor, was born in Lagos, Nigeria. He was brilliant, he was ambitious, and he had a gift for making money. By the time he was 35, he owned banks across Africa. By 45, he owned technology companies in Asia. By 55, he controlled investment firms in Europe and America. His wealth was so interconnected, so complex, that even his closest advisors didn't know the true extent of it. Some estimates put his net worth at $8 trillion, but David kept most of it secret. Why? Because he understood something that most billionaires never learn. With great wealth comes great danger. Wealth attracts envy. It attracts criminals. It attracts people who will do anything, absolutely anything, to take what you have. So David structured everything carefully. Secret trusts, hidden accounts, legal structures designed to protect his fortune and his family. Sarah was his only daughter. From the moment she was born, David knew that one day she would inherit his empire. So he prepared her, not with money first, not with money at all. He prepared her with knowledge. He taught her about business, about people, about the difference between those who love you for who you are and those who love what you have. Sarah was a brilliant student. She went to Oxford. She studied business and law. She came back to Africa when she was 25 and told her father she was ready to learn. For 5 years she worked alongside him. She learned to manage billions. She learned to make decisions that affected thousands of people. She learned to be strong. By the time she was 30, she could have taken over his empire that very day. She had the knowledge, she had the skill, she had the strength, but she wanted something different. She wanted a normal life. So she made a decision that would change everything. She moved to a smaller city, a city where nobody knew who her father was, a city where she could just be Sarah. She told people her father had been a successful businessman who had passed away years ago. She told them she had received a modest inheritance. Not too much, just enough to live comfortably. To the outside world, she seemed successful, but not excessively rich. She drove a nice car, but not a luxury car. She lived in a beautiful apartment, but not a mansion. She worked in investments, which was technically true, though she left out the part about managing trillions of dollars. And that's where she met Marcus. Marcus worked in marketing at a mid-sized tech company. He was charming, ambitious. He had dreams of becoming a CEO one day. He made Sarah laugh. He seemed kind. He seemed real. When he asked her out, she said yes. When he told her after 6 months that he loved her, she believed him. And when he proposed after 2 years of dating, she said yes with her whole heart. They got married in a small ceremony. Sarah had told Marcus a carefully constructed version of the truth about her family. She told him her father had passed away. She told him she worked in investments. She told him she had money, but not an obscene amount. Marcus seemed satisfied with this explanation. 2 years into their marriage, Sarah became pregnant. She had never been happier. She'd imagined a future with Marcus's children, a home, a normal life, doing good work in the world. She thought Marcus wanted exactly the same thing. She was wrong. 3 weeks before Sarah's baby shower, she received a phone call that would change everything. It was her father's doctor. Your father has been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, the doctor said quietly. We've given him 6 months, possibly less. Sarah felt her world collapse. Her father, the man she had idolized, the man who had taught her strength, the man she thought would meet his grandchild. He was dying. She flew to see him immediately. When she arrived at his hospital room in London, David was weak. His body was failing him, but his mind was sharp. His eyes were still intelligent. Sarah, my daughter, he said, taking her hand. Sit with me. I need to tell you things. For the next 8 hours, David Okafor told his daughter about her future. He told her about the companies, the real companies, not the small ones she knew about, the massive ones. He told her about the accounts, the hidden accounts, billions in places most people didn't even know existed. He told her about the network of lawyers and accountants and trustees who had been waiting for this moment for 25 years. When I die, everything transfers to you. he said. Automatically, the legal structure is already in place. Nobody can contest it. Nobody can take it from you. It'll be yours to protect, yours to grow, yours to use for good. Sarah listened in overwhelmed silence. But there is something you must know, her father said, and he squeezed her hand firmly. Wealth, this enormous is power. It attracts people who don't love you for who you are. It attracts parasites, people who see you as a means to an end. What are you saying? Sarah asked, though she feared she already knew. I'm asking you something difficult, David said. Is Marcus one of those people? Sarah immediately said no. She defended her husband. She told her father that Marcus loved her. Her father looked at her with deep sadness. Perhaps he does, David said. But Sarah, love and greed can exist in the same person. A person can even love you and betray you at the same time. Sarah didn't believe that her father was right. She left his bedside that night and made a decision. She would not tell Marcus about the true extent of the inheritance. Not yet, not until she was absolutely certain of his intentions. But she couldn't hide her father's illness from him. That evening she sat down with Marcus and told him everything. About the cancer, about the timeline, about how much she was hurting. Marcus listened and held her. I'm so sorry, he said. Your family's lucky to have you. I'm here for you. Whatever you need. He seemed genuinely caring. Sarah wanted to believe him more than anything. 3 weeks later, her father died in his sleep. Sarah was devastated. She was also 8 months pregnant, and she needed to be strong for her unborn child. The inheritance transferred automatically, as planned. By law, by design, by her father's intention. Sarah Okafor was now one of the wealthiest women in the world. $5 trillion in assets, and she made a critical mistake. She told Marcus. She thought he deserved to know. She thought they were partners. She thought love meant sharing everything. She was so very wrong. The moment Marcus learned about the inheritance, his entire demeanor changed. It was as if a switch had flipped inside him. From that moment forward, nothing was ever the same. The change in Marcus was gradual at first. Then it became obvious. The way he looked at Sarah was different. Cold, calculating. The way he spoke to her was different. Dismissive, resentful at first. Sarah told herself it was grief, that he was struggling to process her father's death like she was wrong. Within days, Marcus began making comments. I guess you don't need me anymore. You can just buy whatever you want. Must be nice having that much money. I wonder what that's like. You've been hiding all this from me. What else are you hiding? Sarah tried to explain. She tried to tell him that she was still the same woman he had married, that her love for him hadn't changed. But he didn't believe her. You're different. He would say you're cold, you're calculating, you're just like your father. All business, no heart. Sarah was 7 months pregnant. She was grieving. She was trying to manage taking over her father's empire. And the man she had married was turning into a stranger. 2 weeks after her father's funeral, Marcus met someone at work. Her name was Victoria. Victoria was 26 years old. She was beautiful. She was ambitious. She made Marcus feel important in ways that Sarah simply couldn't. Sarah didn't even know Victoria existed at first. She found out by accident. She was taking a shower when Marcus's phone rang on the bathroom counter. She saw the caller ID, Victoria. When he answered, she could hear him being playful, flirting, doing things with his voice that he hadn't done with her in months. Sarah felt safe. She said nothing that day. She waited. 3 days later, she found text messages between them. Victoria, she doesn't deserve you. Marcus, I know. I'm planning something. Victoria, how much do you think you'll get in the divorce? Sarah felt her legs go weak. Divorce. They were already talking about divorce. That night, she confronted him. I saw your texts with Victoria, she said quietly. Who is she? Marcus didn't even try to deny it. Yes, I'm seeing Victoria. Hugh said coldly and frankly, I don't care if you know. In fact, I'm glad you found out, because I'm done with this marriage. Marcus, I'm 8 months pregnant. Sarah whispered, please, whatever is wrong, we can fix it. There's nothing to fix, he said. You've changed. You don't care about me. You only care about your money and your business. I'm done. What are you talking about? Sarah asked, though she already knew. I want a divorce, he said, and I'm entitled to half of everything you have. That's the law. That's what I'm going to take. Half of everything I have. Sarah repeated, her voice shaking. Marcus, that's over $2 trillion. I know, he said, and then he smiled. Exactly. In that moment, Sarah understood what her father had tried to warn her about. Greed, pure, naked, destructive greed. Marcus had never loved her. He had been waiting for her to be valuable enough to justify taking her down. And now, finally, she was. Over the next week, Marcus secretly hired a lawyer. He attended meetings Sarah didn't know about. He gathered documents she didn't know existed. He and Victoria began planning their strategy. And then, Marcus made the decision that would define him forever. A decision so cruel, so calculated, so deliberately timed that it would shock everyone who heard about it. He decided to serve Sarah with divorce papers at her baby shower, in front of 200 people, in front of her mother, in front of her closest friends, while she was 8 months pregnant. He decided to humiliate her in the moment that was supposed to be the happiest day of her life. He decided to break her, and he thought he would get away with it. The baby shower was planned for Saturday afternoon. Sarah's friends and family had been planning for weeks. They had saved money, they had bought gifts, they had decorated. It was going to be perfect. The venue was beautiful. A garden estate outside the city. Pink and gold decorations hung from every surface. Soft music played. Champagne flowed. There were games planned or were laughs and conversation. 200 guests arrived. Friends of Sarah's, family members, business associates who had known her father, people who wanted to celebrate the coming birth. Sarah wore a beautiful pink maternity dress with gold accents. She had never felt more beautiful or more terrified, because I had told her the night before exactly what he was going to do. "I'm filing for divorce tomorrow," he said coldly. "At your baby shower, in front of everyone." "Marcus, please," Sarah had begged. "Not there, not in front of everyone. Please, we can talk about this," Noy said. "This is happening. I want everyone to see that I'm taking control. I want everyone to know that your money doesn't protect you from me." Sarah had spent the entire night crying. But the next day when she arrived at the baby shower, she tried to smile. She hugged her friends, she laughed at their jokes, she opened gifts with care, she let people touch her belly and feel the baby kick. For 3 hours, she maintained the performance. Her mother was there, glowing, so proud of her daughter. Her closest friends were there, celebrating the new life coming. Everyone was happy. And then, at exactly 5 p.m., Marcus walked in. He was wearing a black suit. He looked powerful, confident. The music stopped. The conversations paused. Everyone sensed something was wrong. Marcus walked directly to the center of the garden where Sarah was sitting in a decorated chair. A chair meant for the soon-to-be mother, a chair of honor. He stood directly in front of her. In his hand, he held a manila envelope. "Sarah," he said loudly, making sure everyone could hear, "I'm serving you with divorce papers." Effective immediately. The entire garden went silent. Sarah's face went white. "Marcus, please," she whispered, tears immediately forming. "Not here." "Yes, here," he said loudly. "In front of all your friends. In front of everyone who matters. I want you to feel the same humiliation I felt being married to someone as cold and deceptive as you." He threw the envelope on her lap. It fell open. The words were visible. Everyone could read them. "Divorce settlement. Asset division," Sarah's mother screamed. Her closest friend Zainab started crying. The other women rushed forward, surrounding Sarah, shielding her. And then, as if the cruelty wasn't complete enough, Victoria walked out from the house where she had been waiting. Victoria walked directly to Marcus, and Marcus put his arm around her. "This is Victoria," Marcus announced to the shocked crowd. "She's the woman I should have married. She's the woman who actually cares about me, not about herself." Victoria smiled, a cold, triumphant smile. Sarah couldn't breathe. She couldn't think. She couldn't do anything but cry. Her friends immediately surrounded her, shielding her from the crowd, trying to protect her from the shock and the humiliation and the cruelty of it all. Her mother stood up, her face red with rage. "Secura!" she screamed. "Get him out of here! Get them both out!" The security team moved quickly. Marcus and Victoria were forcibly removed from the garden, but the damage was done. The baby shower had been transformed from a celebration of new life into a memory of the deepest betrayal. Sarah was rushed inside by her friends. She was shaking. She couldn't stop crying. One of her friends, a lawyer herself, immediately looked at the divorce papers. As she read them, her face filled with fury. "He's claiming half of everything," the lawyer said. "He's claiming half of your entire inheritance. Over $2 trillion. Sarah couldn't speak. She couldn't think. She could only feel the baby moving inside her and wonder if the stress was hurting her child. It was the worst day of her life. She had no idea that it was about to get better. As Sarah was being comforted by her friends, one of the security guards approached her. "Ms. Okafor," he said quietly. "There's someone who wants to see you. He says it's urgent. He says your father sent him." Sarah looked up through her tears. It was an older man, African, distinguished, powerful presence. She recognized him. It was Robert Shun, her father's best friend, her father's business partner, the man her father had told her to contact if she ever needed protection. The man her father had named as her guardian and protector. Robert walked into the room and looked at the divorce papers. "Come with me," he said gently but firmly. "We need to talk about what your father prepared for a moment exactly like this." Sarah didn't know it yet, but everything was about to change. Robert Chun took Sarah to a private office. He closed the door. He told her to sit. "Your father asked me to do something," Robert began. "He asked me to watch over you. He asked me to investigate anyone who became close to you, and anyone who might pose a threat to you or your fortune." "Why didn't he tell me?" Sarah asked. "Miku, he wanted you to live freely," Robert said. "He wanted you to have love. He didn't want you to be paranoid. So he asked me to protect you without you knowing, to be your guardian angel. Robert opened a thick file. It contained documents, photographs, financial records, text messages, everything. Marcus didn't meet you by accident, Robert said quietly. And Victoria isn't just his girlfriend, they're partners. Sarah felt sick. Robert showed her the evidence. It revealed a calculated, premeditated scheme that had been in the works for over a year. 18 months before Marcus and Sarah met, Marcus had been in serious financial crises. He owed money to dangerous people. He was going to lose his house. He was going to lose his car. He was going to lose everything. He was desperate. Then he met Victoria. Or rather, Victoria was introduced to him by a man named Daniel, cousin who worked in Lagos. Daniel had found Sarah. Daniel had researched her family. Daniel had discovered that her father was extraordinarily wealthy. Daniel had come up with a plan. If you can marry this woman, Daniel had told Marcus, when her father dies, she inherit billions, maybe trillions. We can plan this carefully. Once you're married, once you have legal standing, once you're in the will or position to claim assets, we can take everything. Victoria was the accomplice. She had agreed to seduce Marcus, to help him seduce Sarah, to position herself to, will eventually take money and run. They had researched Sarah's patterns. They had stalked her. They had watched her. They had learned her routines. When they finally made their move, when Marcus asked her out, it wasn't luck or chance. It was a carefully orchestrated criminal conspiracy, and the evidence showed wire transfers. Money paid to Victoria by Daniel Mooney, given to Marcus to help him look successful, to help him look like a good match for Sarah. It was all connected. We can prosecute, Robert said. We have enough evidence for criminal charges, fraud, conspiracy, attempted theft. What about the baby? Sarah asked. Will this hurt the baby? No, Robert said, but I need you to understand something. What your father left you wasn't just money. It was protection, legal structures, networks of people ready to defend you. What do you want me to do? Sarah asked. Fight, Robert said simply. Let's fight back. Over the next 48 hours, Robert team prepared criminal charges against Marcus, Victoria, and Daniel. They gathered evidence. They contacted the police. They notified the courts. And then Robert did something brilliant. He contacted the media, because Robert understood something important. The best justice isn't always found in the courtroom. Sometimes the best justice is letting the world see the truth. 3 days after the baby shower, Marcus was arrested. Victoria was arrested hours later. Daniel was arrested in Lagos after an Interpol investigation. The evidence was overwhelming, undeniable. Text messages between Marcus and Victoria planning the entire seduction, wire transfers showing payments, financial records proving Marcus's desperation, emails from Daniel coordinating the operation. When the case went to court, the judge looked at Marcus with visible disgust. You married this woman under false pretenses, the judge said. You conspired with others to defraud her of her inheritance. You publicly humiliated her while she was pregnant in an attempt to break her. This is not just fraud. This is predatory behavior. Marcus was convicted on 3 counts. Count 1, marriage fraud. Count 2, conspiracy to commit theft. Count 3, aggravated harassment. He was sentenced to 3 years in federal prison. Victoria received 2 years. Daniel received 18 months. The courts ruled that Marcus had zero claim to Sarah's assets. Not only that, he was ordered to pay Sarah's legal fees, $5 million, money he didn't have, money he would spend the rest of his life paying back. The media picked up the story. Billionaire's daughter exposes husband's multi-million-dollar fraud scheme. Man sentenced to prison for attempted theft of $5 trillion inheritance. Woman's strength turns family tragedy into justice. The story went viral across Africa, then across the world. And Sarah Okafor became a symbol of something powerful. You don't get what you don't earn. You don't deserve what you try to steal. And real love is stronger than greed. 2 months after the trial ended, Sarah gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. She named her Emma. Emma was born into a world of security, into a legacy of strength, into a future protected by a mother who had proven she could face anything and win. Sarah Okafor did not create a happy ending by forgetting her pain. She created it by transforming it. She established the David Okafor Foundation in her father's name. The foundation protects women in Africa who have been victims of fraud, abuse, and betrayal. It has already helped over 10,000 women rebuild their lives. Emma grew up knowing her grandfather only through stories, but she grew up knowing his values, his strength, his wisdom. As for Marcus, he was released from prison after 2 years. For good behavior, he tried to contact Sarah multiple times. He sent letters apologizing. He said he had changed. Sarah never responded. Some betrayals, she understood, were too deep to repair. Instead, she lived her life. She ran her father's empire with integrity. She became a voice for justice. She became a symbol of strength, and she proved something her father had always known. True wealth is not measured in dollars. True wealth is measured in character, in integrity, in the ability to stand back up after you've been knocked down. Sarah had been knocked down, but she stood back up. and she won. Susama, thank you for watching Sarah's story. If you loved this, please like, subscribe, and share. Because we all need to remember that justice prevails, that love wins, that strength is possible. Thank you.